Tony Khan has unshackled his wrestlers' creativity by not hiring writers, shunning heavy scripting, and largely letting the workers decide what they want to do character-wise. As a result, he has cultivated a roster comprised mostly of three-dimensional personalities. Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, Jade Cargill, Bryan Danielson, and many more are performers, but their character work rarely registers as a performance. But that doesn't mean that every character in AEW is perfect. Indeed, the people I'm going to talk about today are held back by their current personas and crying out for something new. I'm Andy from What Culture, and here are 10 AEW stars who desperately need new gimmicks. Number 10. Kip Sabian. The best thing about Kip Sabian being on this list is that he is getting a new gimmick. Maybe you've seen him in the crowd with a box on his head, or perhaps you've noticed him calling himself the Forgotten One on Twitter. Either way, Kip, who we haven't seen on screen since last May, is gearing up for something new. Here's hoping that he breaks through the creative ceiling when he eventually returns from injury. Number 9. JD Drake. JD Drake is incredible! Well, you might not know it from what he does in AEW. Look, I like the Wingmen, I think they're fun, but there's a chasm between those wacky jobber characters and what Drake does best, namely bringing his Arn Anderson influences out and caving people's chests in with big meaty chops. AEW audiences have only seen flashes of the violence this bruiser inflicts on the indies. Repackaged as his hard-nosed, blue-collar badass self, JD would open many an eye in AEW. Or, better yet, bring in the excellent, underrated Anthony Henry, run the workhorsemen in AEW, and let one of the best independent tag teams of the decade do their thing. It would be a lot better than being in the Wingmen. Number 8. Kris Statlander. This is going to sound a little bit weird, but I mean, it's true, so I'm going to say it anyway. The galaxy's greatest alien is not a supernatural gimmick. Kris Statlander doesn't hang out with little green men, teleport, or pilot a UFO. She boops noses and hails from the Andromeda Galaxy. That's pretty much it. Nose boops and other quirks are only going to take her so far, and now, having become one of the best and most reliable wrestlers in her division, she is indeed changing gimmick. A new character to match her tremendous in-ring skills is exactly what was needed. Number 7. Tony Nese. You signed Tony Nese because he's going to do a very good professional job every single time he's in the ring. He's a fantastic athlete with a diverse, exciting style, but the issue is that those adjectives can't yet be applied to what he does outside the ring. Mark Henry was right when he claimed that the premier athlete doesn't leap off the page on the microphone. So whether that means pairing him up with a mouthpiece or coming up with something different entirely, it would be good to see a little bit of work going into helping Tony Nese find his voice. Number 6. Wheeler Yuta. Introducing Wheeler Yuta as a best friend was a really good idea given his connections to Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor, but the 25-year-old hasn't yet demonstrated whatever it is that's going to make him stand out on the character front. So maybe, after getting smacked in the mouth by William Regal, it's time to finally do that. Yuta is a long-term project whose young age gives AEW plenty of time for tweaks. There's no express need to package him with an immediately marketable gimmick just yet, but it would be a shame to see the fantastic Regal interaction going to waste. Number 5. Varsity Blondes. With Julia Hart in the midst of a Malachi and Black-induced transformation via toxic mist, becoming increasingly aloof and detached from Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison in the process, now would be a good time to give the Varsity Blondes something new. Whether they're going to progress as a tag team or maybe even go their separate ways, it would be a good idea for both men to get rid of the varsity jackets and the hair metal soundtrack, even if it's probably going to be a while before they are seriously pushed. Number 4. The Men of the Year. Scorpio Sky is the TNT champion at the moment. Fair play, he's a talented guy and an AEW original, but he and Ethan Page aren't getting much in the way of crowd reactions at the moment, and when you consider how over the other people who held the TNT title were, that's not great. The current Men of the Year presentation is a little overcooked. Goofy rather than hateable, forced rather than natural, they need to find something that's a little less, well, WWE Raw. AEW should at least try to give Scorpio Sky, TNT champion, a chance to get over. But at this moment, they're kind of swimming against the tide. Course correction begins with a better, more focused character that isn't so reliant on over-the-top mannerisms and worn-out tropes. Number 3. Jungle Boy. Maybe today isn't the day, maybe it won't be tomorrow or even a month or two from now, but one day, Jungle Boy is going to need to shed the more gimmicky aspects of his AEW presentation if he's ever going to emerge as the company-carrying babyface his pillar status demands. At some stage, the fantastic 24-year-old is going to need to lose the little booties and other Tarzan mannerisms. He's already pretty damn great, but at some point, the boy needs to become a man. Jim Ross's insistence on referring to Jungle Boy by his real name, Jack Perry, may end up serving as inadvertent future-proofing. A light reboot will eventually prove critical to long-term success. Number 2. Penta Oscuro and Alex Abrahantes. Oh boy. It pains me to do this one because I love Penta and I love Death Triangle, but Penta Oscuro has been such a flop that it's already unsalvageable. We are supposed to receive this darker gimmick as an imposing nightmare, yet he looks like a bloody cartoon character. The prop shovel and headstone are fiend-like in that they almost make the gimmick slapstick. Alex Abrahantes, meanwhile, is a great guy by all accounts, but he resembles a villain more fit for a kid's Halloween party than a dark priest or whatever he's supposed to be. Penta is too much of a cartoon. Pac has nothing to chew on, Alex is better suited in other roles, and yeah, we need to rethink this Death Triangle thing. AEW might as well rip it up and start again whenever Rey Fenix gets back. Number 1. Most of the Dark Order. They're a lovable group, the Dark Order, and each of them has plenty to offer on screen and off. But the group has lost much of its purpose since Hangman Adam Page became AEW World Champion, and now they require a few tweaks here and there. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson haven't wrestled a traditional 2-on-2 tag team match since August 2021 on TNT or TBS. Alan Angels recently lost his mask but hasn't been developed beyond that. John Silver, meanwhile, remains a blistering in-ring dynamo, but the Johnny Hungy bit is now a bit irritating instead of being endearing, and 10, for all his brawn, doesn't really do anything beyond standing in the background and looking gigantic. For what they've come to represent in the wake of Brody Lee's tragic passing, the Dark Order should always have a place in AEW. They come off as a lively group of genuine friends on this roster, but so few of the stable genuinely stand out these days, suggesting that the gimmick needs work, even if the changes are minor rather than major. So that's our list. What do you guys think? Let us know down in the comments section below. After that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Then, you can follow us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE and myself at Andy H. Murray, where you can tell me how wrong I am. Goodbye.